You are listening to the Take a Step podcast, where we help growth-minded professionals live every day on purpose. Today, we've got another edition of the Weekly Mile, where we take a look back at one of the previous editions of the Weekly Mile newsletter and dive in. The title of this week's edition is Leadership People Will Run Towards. So we're going to jump into really the different leadership styles that are out there, leadership styles that people really that really attracts people, and then leadership styles that causes people to be a little bit more standoffish and holds people from actually buying in to what the leader is trying to inspire their team to do. So know you guys will enjoy it. Let's take a step. Think for a second about this question. If you needed guidance in an area that was deeply important to you, something that you didn't just want a surface level answer for, who's the first person that comes to mind? Picture their face. Now imagine yourself sitting across from them, coffee in hand. What would you ask? How would they respond? And maybe most importantly, how would they make you feel in that moment? I'll bet that person isn't someone who leads with ego. You wouldn't go to them because they love being in charge or because they have all the right answers. You'd go to them because of their heart, because you know they care more about helping you grow than about proving themselves right. That kind of person carries humility. They don't just listen to respond, they listen to understand. And that's what separates a person people tolerate from a person people trust. We all know the other type, the one who talks more than they ask, the one who's so focused on appearing successful that they forget to actually be helpful. When we're around that type of person, we walk away feeling smaller, not stronger. That's not leadership. That's insecurity wearing a leadership badge. If you look at the people who have had the deepest impact on your life, you'll see a common thread. They weren't trying to build a platform. They were trying to build people. That's exactly what Jesus modeled too. In Matthew 20, verse 28, Jesus said, "The Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and give his life a ransom for many." Think about that. The creator of heaven and earth, the one who literally could have demanded power and worship, chose instead to kneel and wash feet. He didn't build a following through status or force. He built it through service. That's not just theology, that's leadership philosophy. When Jesus led, people didn't follow him because they were scared of what would happen if they didn't. They followed him because they wanted to. They trusted him because he loved them first. And if you want to be that kind of man who builds trust, who earns respect, and who leads people towards something that matters, you've got to start there. Leadership isn't about how many people listen to you. It's about how many people you're willing to serve. So here's the hard truth. You can't fake a servant heart. You can fake charisma. You can fake confidence, but humility always exposes the real story. And humility doesn't mean weakness. It's strength under control. It's knowing you can make it all about you, but choosing not to. It's stepping into rooms with authority while still remembering that you're there to lift others up. Guys, we'll get back to the episode in just a moment, but I've got to take a second to tell you guys about the official sponsor of the Take a Step podcast, MMP Customs. They make all of the Take a Step apparel, and honestly, they're the best at what they do. I know Nathan Mooney, the owner, personally, and he is just someone who embodies the Take a Step mindset. He took action on this business a few years ago and turned his entire downstairs of his house into a full production facility. And at this facility, he's built an amazing team that serves clients both small and large. Whether if it's outfitting your staff, gifts for a client, or any custom branded merchandise, they're your people and they're fit for the job. Something really cool they recently did for Take a Step is on their website, they built out a custom page specific for Take a Step apparel and merchandise that I can now send people directly to, and I'll link that down below, and they can do the same for you. So if you have any need for custom apparel or merchandise, MMP Customs is the place. Let's get back into the episode. Our culture has confused confidence with dominance. But in the kingdom, confidence comes from knowing whose you are, not how loud you are. Jesus never had to prove himself. He knew his purpose. And when you know your purpose, you don't have to chase position. You might not have the title right now. You might not have the corner office, the platform, or the following, but you do have influence, at least the opportunity for influence. You have people watching how you move, how you respond, how you serve. Every text you send, every conversation you have, every small decision you make, it's building a pattern of leadership in your life. And if your leadership starts with humility, it'll last. See, the world tells us to chase power, to be the man at the top. But power built on ego collapses fast. The men who build their lives on service, though, those are the ones who stand the test of time. Ego and power may have built empires, but humility and service built a kingdom that will never end. Here's the challenge. When you walk into your workplace tomorrow, when you step into your home tonight, or when you show up for your friends this weekend, don't ask, how can I get more respect? Ask, how can I show more love? You'll be surprised how fast your influence grows when people feel seen and valued by you. Because the truth is, people don't remember what you say, they remember how you made them feel. Everybody's heard that quote before. People don't remember what you say, they remember how you made them feel. And if you want to be the kind of man people trust with their problems, look up to in their weakness, and follow in their growth, it starts by asking one simple question every morning. How can I serve today? That's the question that changes families. That's the question that changes workplaces. That's the question that really changes lives. Every great man that you've admired has asked and lived by that question at some point. And if you make that your mission, if you live like your purpose is to serve rather than to shine, you'll find yourself leading in ways never imagined. God doesn't elevate pride. He elevates humility. James 4 verse 10 says, humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will lift you up. When your posture is humility, God becomes the one who handles your promotion. You won't have to claw your way to recognition. You just have to stay faithful in the places where no one's watching. You don't need to be perfect to lead. You just need to be willing to serve. If you're waiting for a title before you lead, you're missing it. The title comes after the trust, and the trust comes from humility. You want to build something that lasts? Start small. Serve first and lead second. Because long after your job changes, long after the applause fades, the legacy you'll leave behind won't be in words you said. It'll be in the people you loved well. Now, as you guys are listening to this, I guarantee you there are specific individuals in your lives where you can look back on and be like, yeah, they were in, quote, leadership roles, but those weren't leaders. They might have been managers. They might have been micromanagers because they were pushing you to do something rather than pulling you, rather than serving you, they were telling you. And that's something that I feel like so many people get wrong about leadership. And if we can approach it from the lens that Christ tells us throughout the scriptures on being a servant, that's what's actually going to build trust, which is the number one thing that you've got to have to be a leader. If you're going to have a team of people that are going to follow you on the mission, that can get inspired by you and want to follow in your footsteps, they've got to have your trust. And the number one way to build their trust is to love and serve them well. Now, if you want to take your first steps to living with this kind of leadership, here are 3 questions to help generate some momentum. Number 1, who in your life comes to mind when you think of a humble leader? And what can you learn from their example this week? 2, where have you been tempted to chase recognition instead of service? And how can you shift your focus back toward humility? And then 3, how can you practically serve someone in your circle, family, workplace, or community before this week ends? Thank you guys for listening to another episode of the Take a Step podcast. If you enjoyed it, please leave a rating on whichever platform you're listening. And always remember that no matter where you are on your growth journey, every mile begins with a step.